Brainfruits, season number 3, where we focus on how to engineer the future. With Brainfruits, we help women get the insights, tools, and tactics to shape the future in tech and finance. You can listen to Brainfruits on all major streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. I'm your host, Hannah Becker, and it's a pleasure to introduce you today to Ella Rytsölä. She's a product manager at TechVelopment and co-founder at WithPurpose. WithPurpose is such a great platform. It's a platform that helps women start, run, and grow purpose-led companies. Ella's background merges business, sustainability, and innovation, and I'm super excited to say hello today to Ella because one of her biggest visions for life is that the entrepreneurial landscape is a level playing field for diverse talent. Ella, welcome to the podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Ella, you just come basically right from swimming. You've been already working out in the morning. You have a full-time job at the side, and you also co-founded a startup school WithPurpose. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe also about your superpower?
I think you made me sound a little bit busier than I am. I was swimming earlier today, like I was explaining to you also that if my eyes are puffy, it's because my goggles are way too tight. But I am, I'm a woman in my 30s now. I just turned 30 and went through all the crisis that comes with it. But I also feel that what they say about that you kind of rest in yourself. I'm a Swedish-speaking Finn, so from Finland originally, but I've lived in Copenhagen for 6 years now, so got the Nordics pretty well covered. And my educational background is in finance and international business and politics, but since I've mainly worked kind of with the intersection between sustainability and innovation, and also always have some sort of a gender equality angle to everything I do. Huge feminist. That was kind of why this WithPurpose was a natural thing to start. And now I'm already jumping ahead because you asked me about my superpower.
I think you have a great superpower because you're able to juggle so many things at the side. Plus, you keep fit for yourself. So this is, for me, this is a huge superpower. Is the superpower to be a woman?
Let's say that's perfect.
That's perfect.
Be a woman and still manage.
To be a woman and still manage. I love that superpower. I think this is a great one. If we talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. So you also mentioned you have a background in finance. So to you, this will be no news. But actually, when I came to Denmark, this was really surprising for me that in 2021, all female founding teams in Denmark and the Scandinavian, in the Nordics, let's put it that way, only raised 1.1% of venture capital. This is based on a report published by the Copenhagen-based Unconventional Ventures. This is quite surprising because in the Nordic startup scene, there's been raisings up to 16 billion in total. So there's only a small share that goes to women in entrepreneurship. This is quite a dire picture, I think, not only when we look at the investment rounds, but also when we look at how women feel when it comes to feeling supported and feeling like there is access to knowledge and then also network in the entrepreneurial sector. And I'm just curious to hear from you. Are the venture capital firms to blame?
They're definitely part of the problem. I just want to say that also I was also so shocked when I saw those numbers for the first time. It's insane. Also in the Nordics, where we're actually pretty good at gender equality in general, that VCs are definitely part of the problem, but they are not. It's a much more complex problem than that, I would say. There's a lot of problems. I mean, the numbers that you didn't mention here are that also women are much less represented in entrepreneurship. So already there are fewer women to begin with that the VCs could invest in. So I think the problem starts much earlier, and it's more of a societal problem almost than just one actor. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons that women don't start as many companies as men. There's we have less access to networks, we have fewer role models that we can look to see what entrepreneurship could look like for us. Of course, also we know that the environment we'll face once we enter entrepreneurship is going to be a biased one. So I think that's where the VCs are a little bit to blame. And also then something that we are working, except like mainly focusing on with purpose, is kind of that we doubt our skills more than men, or that we're less likely to take risks unless we feel that we've mastered something. So yeah, anyway, that's what we're working on with purpose, giving women these skills. But back to your question on if VCs are to blame, there are of course a lot of things that the VCs also could do differently, and it is still a very biased environment. We know that most VC investors are men, and we know that men tend to invest in men because you invest in what you know. Both you can see in yourself in the person, you can see yourself in the person that's pitching, but you can also perhaps see yourself more in the solution that they're pitching, because it's more likely to be targeted to you. The VCs will always say that there is this lack of pipeline, and that's why they can't invest. And that is of course a big problem, and that's also what I've heard from some of my female VC friends here, that they even if they really want to invest in women, there is not a lot of women to invest in. And I think, like, of course they could do more, but it is still a small pipeline. But also want to mention that even when the women then do come to the pitching room and they have an amazing solution, they get invested in less, which is completely crazy, because actually investing in women is a better return on investment. We can see from our numbers, and we all know that diversity investments is good. And we've seen this, that if a woman and a man pitch the exact same solution, the man's going to get more funding, because women will be asked different questions. They will be asked to defend their solutions in different ways, whereas men will be asked about the potential of their solutions. And even if you take the questions out, we are just more likely to think that a solution that is pitched by a male voice sounds more credible. There's been tests done on this, actually.
It sounds like a very complex problem, and a little bit of a chicken and egg problem, as you mentioned. I think that on the one hand side, of course, you have the VCs that cannot invest in women if there are none. But then also, even if there are women, then they do invest less. And on the other side is that lack of network role models, and also incentives for women to dive into entrepreneurship. We can see that there's a lot of discussion and additional research when these type of reports come out, and a lot of suggestions. So it's really interesting, I think, to see that when investors looked at this report from Unconventional Ventures, there was also not only investors looking at the report, but also universities and some corporate accelerators and investor angels. So we can still see that crowdfunders, it's a little bit of a different game. They are the ones that plug the most capital into female founded teams. They go up to 10%. There is a suggestion that maybe there's a lack of female investment partners, and maybe that is also part of the problem. What is the challenge exactly that WithPurpose is addressing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot to latch on there, but I'll stick only to your question. So, I mean, I think, like we already said, the whole kind of entrepreneurial journey is biased towards you as a woman. So it's everything from when you start your business to when you try to find funding for the first time to when you want to scale it. But we in WithPurpose, we're focusing mainly, at least for now, on actually making the barrier for women to enter entrepreneurship lower. So kind of taking away this excuse of there's no pipeline. No, as I already mentioned in the intro, that women are less likely to start a business because of several factors. Their lack of network, lack of role models, lack of and also lack of believing in yourself and in your skills, and not really knowing where to start. So we're making it really, really easy for women to start by providing them with a platform that kind of helps them test an idea and build the first solution, see if there's customers, works, and also have these discussions on what entrepreneurship might look like for them. because I think a lot of women just have a really hard time fitting into that mold of, you know, your typical VC investment case of Silicon Valley dude who dropped out of Harvard and, you know, created a tech company.
Sorry, don't wear gray sweaters and also didn't drop out of Harvard.
Yeah, exactly. And also might have kids that you might have to take care of at home, and you don't have a partner who can do that full time, for instance. So just to say, there's a lot of models, different models for that. But that's what we're working on. We're working on making it more accessible for women and helping them take the first steps, really.
You've been running the startup school now already for some time. I've been a mentor as well, and I was really very, very joyful to see these women being very inspired and ready to go and start their own startups or even scale-ups. Can you give us a few examples of successful female-led, let's drop the female here, just successful startups and their recipes for success?
For instance, we know that women bootstrap more than men. So perhaps you build a profitable company from the beginning and it grows a little bit slower. And we also know that women build more purpose-led companies. The first person I want to highlight is kind of an obvious choice. It's the Canva co-founder, Melanie Perkins. And the reason I wanted to highlight her is because, as we talked about earlier, one of the things that really holds women back from starting companies is kind of the risky environment that they face and the uncertainties. And we know that this Melanie Perkins, she's the co-founder of Canva, for those of you who don't know it, which I don't think is a lot of people at this point anymore, but it's kind of this design platform where anyone who has no prior knowledge of any online design tools can easily make something visually appealing. Like, I think
I love Canva. It's one of it saves me time, and I'm not the most creative person, so I really use it a lot for social media posts, etc. It's really great. Can totally recommend.
The reason I think this is a great example is because actually Melanie Perkins, she was rejected more than 100 times by VC investors before she finally got her investment, and today her company is valued at tens of billions of dollars. It's actually a little bit hard to know exactly because there's a lot of confusion around what the exact valuation is, but tens of billions of US dollars. So pretty valuable company. And I like this example because it just shows that as a founder, you need to have so much grit. You just need to keep fighting, and you have to believe in your solution even when no one else believes in it. And as a woman, that's all the more important because even fewer people will believe in you per default, even if you have a great idea. So I like that example. And then I wanted to highlight another woman who may be a less obvious choice, but I also wanted to highlight someone who didn't perhaps go this classic VC scalability routes. And there is a company, have you heard of Ipsy? Mm-hmm. This beauty platform. Yeah, I think most women will have heard of it, but if there's any male listeners, you might not know.
Can you remind us what Ipsy exactly is doing and why they're so special?
It's kind of a beauty community almost, where, I mean, their product is that you get sent this box of beauty items to your home, but it's more of a movement almost, where they talk quite little actually about the product itself, and it's more about, you know, making beauty accessible to everyone, and beauty can look in so many different ways.
But I already love these examples. I just want to recap here very briefly. I mean, from your first example, the founder of Canva, you really said it comes down to the grit and not, you know, giving up even if you're rejected over 100 times by either VCs or by anyone you try to sell your idea. And then the belief part, I think, is also very important. As you said, you need to believe in your idea, because there will be no one maybe even that will believe in you or your idea.
Yeah, exactly. And so for this Ipsy founder, her name is Michelle Phan, she actually didn't bring on any external investments until her company was generating, I can't remember exactly, I think it was 150 million USD in revenue per year. That's when she brought in her VC investors. So she built a pretty solid company without VC investment.
Do you have anyone from WithPurpose you have general, just from your observations of running the startup school, what did you see as a pattern that would lead women to successfully launch and also make a company survive in the Nordics?
I think all the women who went through our programs, we had the luxury of kind of meeting them all in the cohorts where we would have discussions in groups, etc. So can speak to this on a more personal level, and they are just, I think that once you are as far as them already in the process, that you're kind of ready to take the step into entrepreneurship, that you are already so freaking impressive, and you really do have this, you believe in yourself, and you believe in your idea, and you really kind of feel passionate about something. And I think maybe that's passion is one of the magic ingredients that will help them succeed.
A career in tech is still really hard, and I can tell this from my own perspective. It is hard. How do you navigate these subtle biases in different points of in your own career?
I want to do the Nike slogan, just to say, just do it. For me, it also happened very much through this, kind of, there was a need, there was an opportunity. My good friend Anna, who I co-founded this with, she came to me and, with this seed of an idea that she had. And so it was very much this classic type of, entry point where, okay, there is a huge need for someone to do something about this. Let's do it together. I think for me, what mattered most was that I did it together with people who I really like and believe in and wanted to spend a lot of time with, because that's what you end up doing. You're going to have conflicts and disagreements, so you and you're going to have a lot of discussions on what direction to go in, etc. So it's best to do it, find someone to do it with. I think that makes the barrier just so much lower. But also on a more general level, just get started. I mean, it's not going to be perfect from the start. It's probably going to be really shitty in the beginning, but the only way you can develop it is if you actually start building it and talking to customers and talking to the entrepreneurial landscape in general about, okay, what is needed out there, who talk to potential competitors, and all of this, and just build something and see if it works, and then take in the feedback on that, and then keep on building on it. It's not gonna, it doesn't matter that it's not great from the beginning, because that's just part of the journey. And I think we're as women are maybe a little bit more paralyzed by that thought that, okay, we're gonna build something shitty, so let's just not do it at all. And even if it ends up being completely a disaster, you're going to learn so many things from the journey, and you're going to be able to build something better later. So just get the ball rolling, I would say, is the kind of big overall advice, and get the ball rolling with someone you like.
I think it makes,
and you can do it on the WithPurpose platform.
That's good. Well, definitely go to the website of WithPurpose. I think you also promote that you can actually find co-founders over the platform. You're connected to mentors, so there's a huge network on the WithPurpose platform, which is amazing. But I think this part about, you don't have to do it all by yourself is really great. And finding a co-founder, oh gee, that's also a difficult part. I think someone that you really like and can also at the same time work with and have positive discourse is not the easiest thing. Having heard about your success story with WithPurpose, you have had now quite a few startups a lot of people going through your platform. What are some recommendations that you would have for our listeners to start a business or start accelerating in business? And where can listeners learn more about you?
Really, don't hold back. There's no reason to. It's never going to be perfect. We host these monthly Oops nights, where we have established female entrepreneurs in the Nordics come in and tell us about their failures. It's really fun. We're still hosting one in a couple of weeks. So one of the founders who was speaking there, she also said that, when you're I think 60% was the number she used. When you're 60% satisfied with what you've got, then go live and start testing it and seeing what comes back. You can't build anything better than that without feedback from around you. So very much that's just advice. Just do it. Entrepreneurs are not superhumans. We're just accepted that we have to fail a little bit along the way. And in terms of where you can learn more about us, I think our website is a great place to start. So that's WithPurpose.org. But you can also follow us on Instagram, where we post everything around both these events and around when startup school deadlines are, etc.
Join the With Purpose Startup School, and to sign up, we'll put the link in the show notes as well. So I'm only left to say a big thank you and shout out for being on our show after going swimming and already having a busy morning.
No, thanks so much for having me. I think this is such an important theme, so I'm really glad you're covering it.